a fuck about your job. Sometimes it does do that, but even just doing like just the minimal effort is enough for most jobs. And you know, like it also makes you feel better too because you're not like killing yourself, I've noticed. And it makes the time go by a bit faster. Like there's times where I'd be just casually scanning a lot like slower on about the average speed that they want. And then I check the clock and I'm like, damn, it's already been an hour. But then like, you know, when I worked like for 200 packages an hour at a high scan rate and I check the clock, it's been only 15 minutes. You sometimes have to pace yourself at these type of jobs or else you're just not going to have a good time at all. I do remember coming home some nights where my legs were fucking aching like crazy going that fast at times, and also just, you know, not paying attention to like how my body is reacting to all the situation. Because there's one time, bro, where it was so bad that I literally had to sit down and, you know, on my bed and my legs were aching and gave me a big giant Charlie horse. And the craziest part was I was drinking a lot of water, but man, no matter how much you beat your body up, if you don't like go take care of yourself, like it'll definitely, you know, affect your body, even if you do all the precautions to try to stay hydrated and whatnot. Another thing I want to tell you all too when it comes to working a job in general is like always listen to your body or your gut. If something is not right with you in some type of way, always listen to it, because you just never know what could even happen to you if you just keep going. Because, you know, there's times where I need to go to the wellness area because, you know, I hit my ankle on a cart or something, and sometimes I'd be bleeding a little bit, and obviously, you know, my job actually takes these things pretty seriously, thankfully. But, you know, I won't be like severely bleeding, but it's like getting your foot hit on a scooter or something. It's like a giant scooter, you know, on your ankle pain, and it's fucking sucks. It's definitely way worse, but damn. But the cool part is, like, I go to the wellness area, they look at it, they put a band-aid on it, and they let me like rest for like 30 minutes and stuff like that. It kind of adds up too, and it makes the time go by faster. And I'm just pretty happy in general that I do have a job where they let you do that and not have to worry about rates as much. When it comes to quiet quitting too, like try not to like get yourself written up for working too slow, I will say though, because you know you are there to make money and work, but you don't want to like, you know, be so slow on purpose to the point where you're constantly going to get sent home or fired, because then that will actually hurt you for the most part, because the goal is to do enough so you get paid, and also for your mental health, but also just not to fucking get fucked over too much by the corporations. And thankfully, at times when I do need to go home early, at times I just use PTO, and I don't do it too often, but when I need to, I do, because at my job I get unlimited PTO right now because it's quote unquote part-time status, but I have full-time, like, you know, hours, but there's benefits and shit I could also apply for, because, you know, they call it the blue badge at the Amazon warehouse. It's kind of a weird situation, but you know what, dude, it's like a little loophole, I guess you could say, and it's honestly the best way to kind of take advantage of stuff like that, because there's nothing you could do and they could do, I mean, and it's about using your own resources. Another thing I've also learned at a job too is there's a lot of things that a company would not tell you to your face, especially HR. So it's kind of best to kind of venture out the options you got at any job and try to take advantage of all the resources they have available. Because thankfully at my job, there's a lot of cool resources that I didn't even know they had. Like they failed to tell us there was like free like coupons to get into entry, like amusement parks, tickets for concerts, even fucking discounts for fucking renting a car. It's like, bro, why don't y'all tell anyone this shit? But I understand why they don't tell anyone, because, you know, a lot of these damn corporations want your, you know, cheap labor and your body to use without, you know, telling you. Honestly, I also remember a situation where a dude actually did try to quote-unquote quiet quit, but he kind of got it wrong, because his version of quiet quitting was literally sitting in the break room or the bathroom for like 4 or 5 hours. And I ain't gonna lie, bro, like it is kind of annoying to see people do that, because there were times where I legit needed to use the bathroom, because, you know, the best way to kind of kill that time too is like if you need to use the bathroom to kill time, only go in there for like fucking 15 minutes max, because anything longer than that makes you look suspicious, for one. And two, like, you know, people need to go use the bathroom. So don't be in there way too long. And bro, it gets fucking boring to be in there more than like 10 minutes for me, you know. I don't know how people do it, but fuck, it also stinks as like crap in there too. I just don't get it. Also, breathing in those, you know, fecal matter fluids or fumes and shit probably is not good for you as well. I know there are many ways to kind of get out of quiet quitting or to do quiet quitting without kind of harming your job or your reputation at work. And the best way to kind of do that, I've noticed, was if you're actually nice to people at your job, where you're actually like friendly enough where people just perceive you as nice, and then you don't work as hard. I've noticed that like it didn't matter how hard you worked at times, like people just assumed that you were a good worker just because of how nice you are to people. And it's kind of a crazy reality too, because there was times where I didn't do that on purpose. But I remember working at the grocery store, and I did that as a janitor. There's times where I would also just walk off to do like, getting carts or something because it's slow. And I wouldn't even go that fast. I talked to a lot of people all day, admittedly, and wouldn't even do my job properly sometimes at that place. And I will say, they didn't even like care. That's the crazy part. A lot of these minimum wage jobs or lower paying jobs, because this job was a bit lower, it was $13 an hour. They just don't seem to pay attention as much, or just not enough where they can take you to the office, because they can't. I guess they're like, well, he does go back and do his job, but it also does depend on the management. And sometimes, bro, there is some favoritism, and I do admit there probably was a little bit, but fuck, dude, the pay wasn't even good. Like, I wasn't even getting full-time hours at this gig. What's kind of funny too is at that grocery store job I did go back to that store like fucking 3 times at different points in my life just because I needed something. But bro, I don't kind of recommend it now, because I realize and look back is that place pays pennies. But obviously I was naive, and I was like, yeah, I only like this place, because of the people and how it made me feel, because I did feel happy for the most part, but in a way I was kind of coping with the situation I was in with my finances. It's like, if I'm gonna be broke, dude, at least I got good people around me while I work. But that shit does not ever go well, unfortunately, because a lot of people do eventually move on. And this was at a time where I didn't even know what quiet quitting even was, and before I realized what it was, I started this trend mainly working like, on InstaWork and in the warehouse a lot. And that's where things started changing for the better. Nowadays, like, I'm just happy that I have consistent hours without trying to fucking kill my body and soul. Some people are still soulless when it comes to these type of jobs, but some people just do not understand how to like kind of cope with the situation or better their lives for the long run. And one time at a job, my recent job actually, I did get an interesting question. He asked me and goes, how do you manage to stay so happy in an environment like this, even though the shifts were like really long and it was like getting off pretty late? And I told him that there's a lot of things I have looking forward to in my life when I get off work, not just YouTube, but also, I just have control of my life as well. And that kind of makes a big difference, because when you have control of your life in general, when it comes to like picking up shifts and doing whatever you need to do to get things done, it's like the best feeling in the world. Like, I can't really describe this feeling, but bro, it's like, man, I feel like I got, my life back again in a way. And even though it's not going to be a permanent situation with this job, I could definitely work at this job a bit longer without feeling like I'm going to get burnt out or quit sooner or nothing. Because there's people who do have this Amazon Flex program that work jobs, and they actually use it to their advantage. And they're like some of the happiest workers too. They work like 35 to like 45 hours like on the minimal. And sometimes they'll take advantage of the holiday season where they can get up to 60 hours of overtime. I don't know, man. It's just nice to have all that control. It's really cool. And this person been at this place for like 5 years, and this is like the happiest they ever been. And they even came from like a career job where they were making like $100K a year, and they were actually feeling sucked and drained because they didn't have their own proper scheduling. But just know, when it comes to working a job, when you're quiet quitting at a place, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and not doing it for the reasons where you're just gonna go home and just like not do shit after work, because this only works really well if you are doing something on the side. Like, yeah, you can quiet quit and then just go home and not do shit after, but like, I don't know, dude, like if you don't want to be in this endless routine, I feel like it's best to at least do something to at least make you happy in some way, if it's realistic enough. And you just never know, man. Like, there's a lot of opportunities in this world that a lot of people just don't seem to take advantage of. Anyways, everybody, thank y'all for listening. If this kind of touched some of y'all or kind of relate to a lot of y'all, I do appreciate like you watching and relating to the whole situation, man, because I know I'm not the only one out here, and there's a lot of people who do kind of feel this way, I'm pretty sure. Also, another thing I just want to say is thank y'all so much for the support on the channel recently. It's been growing pretty quickly again for the most part, and the consistency has been paying off. Right now I've been averaging around like 30 to 50 bucks a day off YouTube, and that's the most I've ever had in a while. Some months were kind of bad and kind of rough because sometimes I was working overtime and shit, but man, it does feel a lot better just working with my schedule now and then getting this done, because I definitely had a hard time trying to balance the warehouse job and then get the YouTube numbers good too and shit. And yeah, it's awesome. It's a great feeling, dude. Even though it's not like a famous YouTube channel or nothing, it's been fun as hell. Until further ado, I'm done yapping for this video, and I'll see y'all later. You all have a good one.